Coming up, tragedy struck at Keeneland yesterday as another horse died during this year's fall meet, bringing the total to 5. And it was a scary sight when an SUV crashed through a wall and drove off the 3rd floor of a parking garage in Lexington this weekend.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 6:32 on October 21st. I'm Madison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. Well, happy Monday, and if you're just waking up and grabbing your coffee, we have Brandon Robinson in the studio with us this morning, who says fog is the main story this morning. Brandon?
Yeah, and it's not just in your head this morning because it's Monday. It's actually outside, so we'll take a look at it here. Just a second. Let's go to Pikeville first. Take a look at the Pikeville Medical Center camera there overlooking beautiful downtown Pikeville. Not too much fog up that way, but as we come back to the visibility numbers, you can see dense fog in parts of southwest Virginia over into Letcher County. And again, a lot of these sensors up on the ridge tops at the airports. There's a lot of valley fog this morning. Temperatures have not moved very much. We're at 54 in Huntington, West Virginia, 56 in Hazard, 59 in Harlan, 52 in London, and 58 in Pikeville. So a normal day on the coffee meter. Not too warm, not too cold out there this morning, but kind of just right there. Day planner, we're going to get up into the upper 70s today, mid to upper 70s, but a cold front's going to come through. That's going to bring us some rain chances. We'll talk more about those in just a few minutes. Madison?
Thank you, Brandon. Well, the Buchanan County Sheriff's Office in Virginia received a grant for new additions to their department. The department is getting an $85,000 grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services. Sheriff Ray Foster said the grant will go to supply new hard body armor, gunshot trauma, and first aid kits, along with fire extinguishers. But those are not the only new additions for the department. The Sheriff's Office announced that K-9 Officer Max joined their department this past weekend after extensive training. And officials with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office say deputies arrested an 18-year-old boy on Friday. Police say Jonathan Smith is accused of putting his hands around a woman's neck, attempting to choke her. They say they suspect it happened during an argument. Police charged Smith with assault in the 4th degree. And also in Laurel County, officials with the Sheriff's Office say deputies arrested 2 people Saturday morning for public intoxication. Police say they received a complaint of an intoxicated woman causing a disturbance in the parking lot of a business about a mile north of London. The woman is Sandra Rahi. Police say someone reported the woman had ran onto US 25 and was lying in the roadway. Police also arrested an intoxicated man at the scene, Michael Gibson. They are both charged with alcohol intoxication in a public place. And Pulaski County Police have questions for a man who is a suspect in an ongoing disappearance case. In a post on the department's Facebook page this past weekend, they say their Major Crimes Task Force is looking for Corky Hendricks of Science Hill in relation to the disappearance of Leanna Brumley, who went missing in May of this year. Hendricks has 2 active warrants for his arrest. One was for possessing a handgun as a known felon, and the other for the illegal cultivation of marijuana plants. Police say Hendricks should be considered armed and dangerous, and if you believe you know anything about Hendricks' whereabouts, you can call the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office at 606-678-5145. And West Virginia State Police are searching for a missing woman from Logan County. Reports state that 34-year-old Ashley Mullins was last seen on October 10th in the Mitchell Heights area of Logan County, driving towards Chapmanville. She has green eyes and brown hair. Police say she is around 5'9" and 185 pounds. She was last seen wearing a white Affliction t-shirt, blue jeans, and black and white tennis shoes. Troopers say Mullins drives a gray 2005 Chevy Equinox, which was found abandoned in Boone County this past weekend. If you see Mullins or have any information about the case, call 304-792-7200. And a resource to combat the opioid epidemic is becoming more readily available to people across the United States. Now Narcan is available for purchase online. Anyone can purchase Narcan for themselves or for any organization in select states without a prescription. Around Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia, several organizations have offered Narcan training for school systems, health professionals, and volunteers. And a robbery suspect is recovering after being shot by a Nicholasville police officer. Police say the man tried to rob the Kroger pharmacy just after midnight and was shot after he pointed his gun at an officer. Nick Oliver has more.
It was an early morning call from this Kroger on South Main Street in Nicholasville that launched an hours-long investigation, and the suspect now recovering at a hospital. Kentucky State Police say a man walked into the Kroger near closing time and then held an employee at gunpoint, demanding they open the pharmacy.
The employees followed the commands, allowed the man to enter the pharmacy, and what I've learned is he was in the pharmacy alone. At which time the employees kind of backed away and contacted law enforcement.
Within minutes, Nicholasville police say they were on scene. That's when they report the suspect pointed his handgun at an officer. The officer fired and struck the man in the arm. He would later be taken to UK Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
I had no idea. I just saw it all taped off, and I was like, what in the world is going on?
As the sun came up, dozens of customers like Tiffany Tipton arrived to the closed store.
I'm really glad that everyone is fine and doing okay, and the officer was there to help save those pharmacy people from that situation too.
The Kentucky State Police Critical Incident Response Team will now head up the investigation. That's protocol for any officer-involved shooting. In Nicholasville, Nick Oliver, WKYT.
Police have not released the identity of the suspect. And police say 2 teenagers have died and a third was injured in a shooting in Lexington on Saturday. A Lexington police spokeswoman says witnesses saw shots fired from an SUV into a car. The spokeswoman says 3 occupants in the car were taken to a Lexington hospital. All were 18-year-old males. 2 of them were pronounced dead, and the Fayette County Coroner's Office on Sunday identified them as Dwayne Slaughter and Darian Webb. Police are looking for the SUV, and the shooting remains under investigation. And tragedy struck at Keeneland yesterday as the Pollock report reports that Call to Victory suffered a fatal injury in race 6. This marks the 5th fatality in 13 days of fall racing and the 9th this year, including the spring meet. This injury happened during a turf course race. In a scary incident when an SUV crashed through a wall and drove off the 3rd floor of the parking garage at the St. Joseph Hospital in Lexington. The driver is expected to be okay, and police say amazingly he walked away with only minor injuries. We are told a tree helped break the fall and no charges are expected to be filed. And 1 man is dead after a crash in Pikeville Saturday morning. 32-year-old Gerald Little crashed his car near Enterprise Road on US 23. Officials say 3 other vehicles were involved, and Pikeville 911 Public Safety Director Paul Maynard says they are working to figure out what caused the crash.
Well, anytime you got a fatal collision, we have reconstructionists on the staff here at the police department. They'll come out and they've got to put this scene back together, try to figure out what happened. Right now it's very preliminary.
The crash happened around 9 in the morning Saturday, and both north and southbound lanes were closed for multiple hours. It reopened that afternoon, and 1 person was taken to Pikeville Medical Center for non-life-threatening injuries. And Sunday marked the start of Teen Driver Safety Week, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Wrecks are the leading cause of death for teens ages 15 to 18. And over the last 3 years in Kentucky, there were reports of more than 42,000 crashes involving teens behind the wheel. Those crashes resulted in more than 12,000 injuries and 162 deaths. You can read more on the basic rules of the road on our website at WYMT.com. And a man that dedicated 45 years of his life to Hazard died on Friday. Rex Salyers was retired from the city of Hazard and the National Guard. He attended Victory Lighthouse Pentecostal Church and was an avid UK sports fan. The visitation has been set for this evening at 5 p.m. at the 10 Mile Pentecostal Church. His funeral will be tomorrow at noon at the same place.
Well, the forecast this morning is fog and not too much of a chill this morning, but a little bit. Maybe a light jacket needed if you're a little bit cold-natured. Some fog up on top of Buffalo Mountain. We've been seeing a lot of fog in the valleys, but not a whole lot on the mountains this morning. You can see that there at the airport over at Wise, less than 1 mile visibility, 7 miles at Harlan, and everybody else has kind of bounced back. Remember, all these sensors are up at the airports, which is on the ridges. Temperatures not moved hardly any at all this morning, from 52 Somerset and London to 58 in Prestonsburg and Pikeville, 59 in Middlesboro and in Harlan. Out the door forecast for you today. You are going to see temperatures climb into the mid to upper 70s this afternoon, but the cloud cover will start to increase after the fog lifts because of the cold front that's going to bring us some rain tonight. Madison.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Nestor, no longer a tropical storm, is hitting Florida with torrential rains and flash flooding. And the National Weather Service confirms a tornado touched down in the northern part of Dallas on Sunday.